I was in love, but I was always apologizing for who I am. Have you ever been in love with someone who made you feel like you had to constantly explain or apologize for who you are? Not because they said it outright, but because over time you started shrinking yourself. You started hesitating before you spoke. You softened your edges. You apologized when you were too loud, too sensitive, too ambitious, too passionate. You didn't mean to change. You just thought that maybe, if you were easier to love, they'd love you more. This is the story of Mia and Jason. A love that began with laughter and connection, but slowly became a mirror of self-doubt. This is a story about loving someone who never asked you to leave, but never truly made space for the real you to stay. Mia met Jason during a creative writing workshop in Boston. She was bold, expressive, full of fire, the kind of person who spoke her mind and wrote with her whole heart. Jason was quiet, measured, observant. He listened more than he spoke. He seemed fascinated by her, even captivated. Their connection was instant. They stayed after class, talking for hours about books, music, childhood memories. He said he loved how unapologetically honest she was. She said he made her feel calm. In the beginning, it felt like balance, like yin and yang. They started dating. Their days were filled with quiet bookstores, late-night walks, handwritten notes, and long conversations about the future. Mia had dreams of becoming a novelist, of moving to New York, of performing spoken-word poetry on stage. Jason wanted a quiet life in the suburbs, a house, a stable job, peace. At first, those differences seemed like things they could navigate. They loved each other. That should be enough, right? But over time, those dreams, especially Mia's, became points of tension. "Do you really need to put so much of yourself online?" Jason asked one night after she shared a raw poem about heartbreak on her blog. "It's a little too vulnerable. You're opening yourself up to criticism." Another time after she got excited about a publishing opportunity that required travel. Jason said, "Don't you think it's time to think about settling down? I mean, you're almost 30. She laughed it off. She didn't want to seem immature. So she started censoring her excitement, started rewriting poems to sound safer. She toned down her social media. She deleted posts. She stopped bringing up her big dreams. She told herself she was compromising, growing up. But slowly, it didn't feel like growth. It felt like disappearance. She apologized when her emotions got too intense. She apologized for crying during movies. She apologized for wanting more than a quiet life. She apologized when she laughed too loud at restaurants. She apologized for taking up space. The girl who once read her poetry on open mic nights began writing in secret again. The woman who once dreamed aloud now whispered her hopes into journals and shut them in drawers. Then one night, they attended a dinner party with friends. Mia got animated, talking about a new writing grant she was applying for. Her eyes were lit with excitement. Her hands moved as she spoke. Jason put a hand on her thigh under the table and whispered, "Tone it down." Something broke inside her. She smiled politely. She finished her story, but she felt something inside her retreat. Not out of shame, but out of realization. She was done shrinking. That night she didn't sleep. She sat on the couch, rereading old poems she'd written before she met Jason. They were wild, brave, untamed. She barely recognized the woman who wrote them. And yet, she missed her more than anyone in the world. By morning, Mia knew what she had to do. She didn't leave Jason because he was cruel. She left because she was erasing herself to be loved by him. She left not in anger, but in reclamation. She was no longer going to apologize for who she was. Mia's story is a reminder that you should never have to shrink to be loved. Real love does not require you to be quieter, smaller, less passionate, less emotional, less you. You should not feel guilty for feeling deeply, for dreaming big, for wanting more. The right person will not just tolerate your fire, they will honor it. They will see you, all of you, and not ask you to dim anything that makes you who you are. If you are constantly apologizing in your relationship, not for mistakes, but for your personality, your dreams, your volume, your ambition, that is not love. That is suppression. And no matter how long you've stayed, how much you've invested, how many dreams you've buried, it is never too late to come back to yourself. Choosing yourself is not selfish. It is sacred. You do stop saying sorry. I used to apologize for everything, my laugh, my opinions, even my clothes. My ex said I was too much for him. Turns out I was just too much for him, not the world. I finally found someone who loves that I feel things deeply. 67.9K likes you are a muted artist. This story broke me. I stopped painting because he said art was a phase. I spent 3 years slowly disappearing. Now I'm rebuilding, one canvas at a time. 64. 2K likes, you too big for his box. He loved the idea of me, the confident, driven girl. But once we were together, he tried to fit me into a mold. And when I didn't fit, he made me feel like I was wrong. No more. I'm done apologizing. 60.5K likes you fire without fear. If they can't handle your light, they're not your person. This story reminded me that being too much just means I'm finally showing up as my whole self. 58.3K likes, I was her safe place. But she was always looking for the exit. Have you ever loved someone who seemed like they were always halfway out the door? You gave them safety. You gave them consistency. You gave them a space to be fully seen and accepted. But deep down, they never really settled in. They never unpacked all their bags emotionally or otherwise. They were present, but always slightly distant. You were their home, but they kept glancing at the map. This is the story of Daniel and Claire, a relationship built on genuine love, deep emotional intimacy, and the devastating realization that sometimes love isn't enough to make someone stay. Daniel met Claire at a photography exhibit in Seattle. She was vibrant and spontaneous, with a laugh that turned heads and eyes that noticed everything. He was drawn to her energy. She said he made her feel safe. That word safe meant everything to Daniel. He had spent his life trying to build stability, not just for himself, but for the people he loved. Claire had a restless spirit. She had moved cities 5 times in 6 years, never staying anywhere long. I get bored easily, she said, the night they met. I don't like feeling stuck. Daniel didn't see that as a red flag. He saw it as something she just hadn't found yet. Maybe what she needed wasn't change. Maybe it was grounding. And so he tried to be her anchor. They started dating, slowly, intentionally. Claire would stay over more often. They cooked together, spent rainy weekends watching old movies, talked about art, music, and pain. She cried in front of him. He held her. She opened up about her past, how she'd been let down by people who made promises and walked away. She said she didn't trust easily, but with Daniel something felt different, and he believed her. They made plans, vacations, holiday traditions. He cleared out a drawer for her, bought her a second toothbrush, but each time he suggested something more permanent, moving in, adopting a dog, even renting a studio for her artwork, Claire would smile softly and say, "Let's not rush things." So he waited. Months passed. Then a year. She never rushed. But she never fully arrived either. One evening, Daniel came home with takeout. and found her standing by the window staring at the skyline. She looked peaceful and far away. He asked what she was thinking. She said, "Sometimes I wonder what it would be like to just leave, start over again, somewhere quiet." He asked gently, "Without me?" She looked at him, then looked away. "No, I didn't mean it like that." But the silence that followed told him everything. Daniel realized something in that moment. He had built a space for her, a calm, steady place where she was seen and loved exactly as she was. And she appreciated it. But she never stopped longing for something else, something unknown, something he could never offer, not because he lacked it, but because it didn't exist in him. It existed in movement, not in roots. She once told him, "You make me feel safe." He just hadn't understood that to someone who fears stillness, safety can feel like a trap. A few weeks later, Claire told him she needed time. She didn't call it a breakup. She called it space. But Daniel knew it was goodbye. He didn't fight it. He didn't beg. Because he finally understood he was her soft place to land. But she was never meant to stay. Daniel's story is a reminder that sometimes, even when love is real, people can be walking in different emotional directions. You might be someone's safe place, their calm, their comfort, their healing. But that doesn't always mean they'll choose to stay. Some people confuse peace with stagnation. Some crave chaos without knowing it. Some hearts are wired for motion, and yours might be wired for home. It's not your job to convince someone to want the life you're offering. Love should be chosen freely, fully, repeatedly. You deserve someone who doesn't just feel safe with you, but wants to build safety with you. Someone who doesn't just land in your life, but unpacks, settles, and says, this is where I want to grow. If they're always looking for the exit stop, holding the door open for them, let them go, and close the door behind them with love. You safe but not enough. I was in a relationship where I gave him everything: stability, patience, emotional support. But he always talked about what else might be out there. I wasn't a person to him. I was a resting point. 71.3K likes you, still waiting for her to return. She said she needed space. That was 3 years ago. I kept hoping, but your story helped me realize she left the moment she said it. Thank you for helping me stop waiting. 65. 7K likes you, restless heartbreak. This one hurt. I'm Claire. I've left good people behind because I couldn't stay still. I wasn't ready to be loved gently. I'm learning now. 61.9K likes you, home is not a trap. We think if we're calm and good enough, they'll stay. But some people aren't running from us, they're running from themselves. We just happen to be standing still when they go. 58.4K likes. I found out he was living a double life from his other girlfriend. There's betrayal, and then there's betrayal delivered straight to your inbox. This is the story of Maya, who thought she was in a steady, loving relationship with Daniel for nearly a year. He met her friends, slept at her place, talked about moving in. But one Tuesday afternoon, Maya got a message request on Instagram from a woman named Lacey. Lacey wasn't rude. She wasn't angry. She was heartbroken and brave. Because Lacey wasn't just a random stranger. She was Daniel's other girlfriend. And she had screenshots, receipts, and a timeline that exposed everything Maya thought was real as fiction. What happens when the truth doesn't just come out? It introduces itself to you. Maya met Daniel through a friend's birthday dinner. He was funny, kind, and seemed genuinely interested in her. He asked questions no one ever bothered with: what music she listened to when she was anxious, what her relationship with her father was like. Within a month, they were inseparable. They saw each other 3 to 4 times a week. He'd cook for her. She had a drawer at his place, and he had one at hers. They even spent New Year's Eve together, whispering resolutions between kisses. Daniel said he worked in tech consulting. Long hours, unpredictable schedule. Sometimes he traveled last minute. Maya trusted it, believed it. He was attentive, thoughtful, maybe not always reachable, but when he was with her, he was with her. Then came the message. A quiet Tuesday. Maya was at work when she saw it, a message request on Instagram from someone named Lacey. "Hi. I'm sorry to message you out of nowhere, but I think we need to talk. It's about Daniel." Maya froze, opened it. Lacey explained she'd been dating Daniel for nearly 2 years. They'd met at a word for word. "I miss you already. You're my everything. Someday we'll live together." Lacey sent a photo of them together in front of a Christmas tree. Daniel wore the same sweater he'd worn when he had dinner with Maya's parents. The timelines overlapped. Birthdays, anniversaries, even Valentine's Day when Maya thought he was on a business trip. He was with Lacey in Chicago. Maya didn't respond right away. She went numb. She scrolled. She cried. She shook. Then she sent back a thank you. And the screenshot of her with Daniel, laughing in bed, time-stamped. Lacey replied, "I knew it. I'm so sorry. He told me you were just a friend going through a hard time." That night, Maya blocked Daniel everywhere. He showed up 2 days later, knocking, begging. "I love you. I didn't mean to hurt anyone." Maya looked him in the eyes. "You didn't just cheat," she said. "You lived 2 lives, and I don't think you even know which one was real." Then she closed the door, and this time it stayed closed. This wasn't just infidelity. This was choreography. Daniel didn't make a mistake. He made plans. He chose to lie every day, not in panic, but with purpose. He built 2 women's trust simultaneously. He said, "I love you," with equal conviction to both. He arranged calendars, flights, text schedules, not just to avoid suspicion, but to maintain control. Maya wasn't just betrayed. She was used. Her love became a stage Daniel performed on, and he thought he could keep the curtains from ever rising at the same time. But lies don't live in isolation. They cross wires. They leak. And sometimes all it takes is one brave woman reaching out to another to burn the whole illusion down. Maya didn't rage. She didn't break things. She listened. She verified. She walked. Because love without truth is just manipulation with nicer lighting. You Double Life exposed. He wasn't just a cheater. He was an actor running 2 shows. Same script, different theaters. 14.7K likes you, I was Lacey once. I reached out to another girl once. Most painful thing I ever did, but she deserved the truth. This hit home. 13.1K likes you, blocked and blessed. She didn't waste time with confrontation. Just facts, screenshots, and closure. That's power. 11.9K likes you, his calendar was crime. Imagine the energy it takes to lie to 2 women for years, and he still thought he was the victim. 12.6K likes you, prompt respect to Lacey. It takes guts to come forward with receipts. Some women would rather blame each other. Lacey and Maya stood together. 14.3K likes, what would you do if someone sent you proof your partner had a secret life? Would you block them both, or join forces like Maya and Lacey did? Let us know in the comments. Because sometimes the greatest truth comes from the woman they didn't expect to speak.